You're watching the FARC Low Dollar series on Fuel Spill TV, and welcome to the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas, for the running of the Patriot Cola Star Spangled Flavor 76 on this 4th of July weekend, one of the biggest weekends in American motorsports. This race comes on the eve of the legendary Texas 500. And we do have some drivers in today's field who will be pulling double duty this weekend. Some are the FARC regulars, hoping to get their big break in the 500, and others are ASCC regulars who are trying to get a little more big track experience before tomorrow's race. But this is a fairly short race, just 76 laps, 114 miles around the first speedway that the FARC Low Dollar Series will see this year. So for much of the field, this is a refresher course, and for others, this is the first speedway they've ever seen. And now let's have a look at the starting lineup. Britt Tyler takes his first pole of the season with Kelly Splicen on his outside. Last week's winner at Berlin, Kelly Splicen, and the LaCoya-backed teams are making a very big statement on the heels of LaCoya's announcement that they will be moving up to the ASCC next year. Patrick Ashcroft will be starting in third in the number 99, followed by Michaela Perry-Jones, the Low Dollar Series points leader. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, the 2017 champion, rounds out the top five with Kerry Fenton, once again with the Lynx branding right behind him. Mauro Adachi puts the Walker Texas Racing car in seventh, despite the hard-hitting news that 2018 Series champion Mark Thompson, who drove that 98 car last year, has been indicted for tax evasion. This comes as a consequence of the investigation into the devastating Ron oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico last year. It's very unfortunate to see this happen for Thompson and that team after the highest of highs. Hunter Blaze, second in points, starts on Adachi's outside, and he will make his Texas 500 debut tomorrow with Flair Motorsports. Best of luck to him today and tomorrow. Mike Malone and Mark round out the top 10. Daniel Sharp for Team Thunder starts in 11th, Aaron Coltier 12th, Sean Griswold in the number 6 for the Dave Hetzel team outqualifies his teammate Todd Stater. Nicholas Radcliffe and Tony Long 14th and 15th. Stefan Włodarczyk will make his first Texas 500 start tomorrow. He is in the number 68 for Team Timothy as a warm-up for that race. Włodarczyk has been having a lot of success in the ASCC with 3 wins heading into this weekend, but that team is obviously still having some growing pains in their first FARC season, as he could only manage 16th in qualifying. Anthony Griffith starts down in 17th. He was in contention for the win at Berlin last week before getting caught up in several accidents. Todd Stater starts in 18th. Christopher Holter, fairly good start for him in the Salvation Racing car, in 19th, and Grant Carsons rounds out the top 20. Nick Asher is back, starting in 21st. Phyllis Theodore, sporting some new colors this weekend, starts in 22nd. She'll be representing the Suburban Cowgirl comic books, a very fitting deal down here in Texas. Taylor Matthews has a bit of work to do with both of her points rivals starting in the top 10. Then it's Rick Forrest and Megan Gallagher, 24th and 25th. And then it's Vitaly Solikov, the multimillionaire Russian owner of Rus Autosport. Emboldened by his 5th place finish here last year, he has elected to start today's race, maybe hoping to improve on that, but he is definitely not a race car driver by profession. Donnie Olson in the number 1 for Gulf Motorsports, starting right behind Solikov, will also be in the Texas 500 tomorrow, and they're using this race for warm-up. As for Skeeter Farnsworth in 28, I'm very surprised to see him down there with his teammate Rip Tyler on the pole. The 16 crew definitely has it together this weekend, the 24 not so much. Xavier Ruiz starts in 29th, and Danica Hollifield, starting in 30th, is back in the number 25 car, with the news that her cousin Max Hollifield is miraculously still with us after his devastating accident in the FARC Super Series race at Berlin. We don't know the extent of his injuries or any timeline for recovery, but the most important thing is, again, he is still with us. Getting towards the back of the field now, Brandon Krasta and Noah Dalitz, 31st and 32nd. Dalitz greatly outqualified by his teammate Kerry Fenton. Delbert Haggins makes his debut today, starting down in 33rd, followed by Dalton Carter, who will debut in the Texas 500 tomorrow. Daniel Eckleiter is 35th. Master Cup regular is only running a few FARC races this year, but they could be going a lot better for him. Not so concerned with starting 36th is Harry Essenola. He usually finds his way towards the front by the end. He is followed by Nathan Ormond and Todd Abadrabo. The Team Bird teammates John Burr and Bobby Dwyer round out the top 40. And rounding out the field with the wildcard spots are Michael Chester and debutant Gerald Reddington. The pace car leaves the field in the hands of Rip Tyler and Kelly Splicin. Rip Tyler's had a really terrible start to the year, but don't forget, he is a two-time champion in the series, and that team has just recently started getting it back together. But now Tyler and Splicin duel side-by-side into Turn 1. Patrick Ashcroft and Michaela Perry-Jones, very neat and orderly behind them, but it is 3 wide behind the leaders, as Rip Tyler takes the early lead, but then loses it to Kelly Splicin, who is then challenged by Mauro Adachi, sporting the Incel Batteries colors this week. And look at Daniel Sharp, already up to 3rd on lap number 3. He's joined by his teammate. Those guys started outside the top 10. We've got a lot of shuffling, like we would see it somewhere like Talladega, but that would be interrupted by a 2-car crash between Hunter Blaze and Grant Carsons. And Blaze is going to go out of the race on lap 3. Not only does this hurt his championship effort against Michaela Perry-Jones, but it hurts the amount of seat time he's going to get before tomorrow's race. Anthony Griffith took the lead from Mauro Adachi after the restart. Aaron Coultier followed him into second, but only briefly, as a breakdown is going to force him to the pits, and he will fall 2 laps down. Mauro Adachi fights back as he and Griffith break away from the pack now and duel among themselves. Mauro Adachi's driving made a lot of people mad last week at Berlin, but he's really cleaned up his act in these first 20 laps. Behind them, Mark slides into 3rd over Kelly Splicin. Splicin and Rip Tyler are still in the hunt, but they seem content right now to just settle into the top 5 and not make any big moves for the lead yet. Megan Gallagher and Vitaly Solikov are on the move early, just knocking on the door of the top 10 right now. Solikov challenges to 22, but then Gallagher blows up right in front of Rick Forrest and Taylor Matthews. That brings out the second caution of the day after a decently long green flag run. But Rick Forrest and Taylor Matthews are very lucky to escape with minimal damage, especially in Matthews' case, where she now has the chance to get up into second in points with Hunter Blaze out of the way. Pit road opened up just a little bit too early under this caution, and several of the takers towards the back of the field now find themselves a lap down. Brandon Crasta and Dan Leckleiter are on the tail end of the lead lap, and now here come Mark and Enola 3 wide for the lead as Griffith gets shuffled out by the lapped cars. Kelly Splicin follows the 03 into second place, and that's Skeeter Farnsworth in the 24 coming all the way from the back of the field, but now another 4-car crash down in turn number 4 sees Tony Long go onto his roof with a little bit of help from his teammate Danica Hollifield. That is not what SWH Racing wanted to see. There's Michael Chester in the 96 also out of the race. And now Kelly Splicin has problems as she was about to lead on the restart. Her streak of good luck from Moncton and Berlin has now come to an end as she will bring the car to the pits, where she will surely come out several laps down, but now the battle for the lead is between these 5 cars. Skeeter Farnsworth getting by the 61 of Taylor Matthews for the spot, but Mark fighting back with Noah Dallitz and Rip Tyler in tow. After some issues in qualifying, Skeeter Farnsworth came to the front in a hurry, but now it's 3 wide for the lead with Noah Dallitz sticking his nose in there. Rip Tyler's going to keep following him, but now Taylor Matthews back to the inside is going to try to gain ground once again as Nick Azure goes hard into the wall after contact with Dan Leckleiter. A mechanical problem put him several laps down earlier in the race, and now he's lost the chance to make that up. But Nick Azure will climb out of that car. Kelly Splicin came out of the pits just as the caution came out, and she's being waved around the field, but she's going to smash right into the 7 of Anthony Griffith. That is a contender for one of the dumbest things we've seen all season. I don't know if there was a miscommunication to the rest of the field that she would be coming around the outside, or if she made a bad decision on her own, but Kelly Splicin's day has gone from bad to worse now. But we're very lucky that she just glanced off of the 7. That could have been a huge crash had she hit him more square. Kelly Splicin is now out of the race, and she will be summoned straight to race control, along with her spotter and crew chief. I don't know what the communication was there, but if it isn't in her favor, I'm expecting a pretty big penalty out of that. Anthony Griffith, I don't think I want to hear his radio right now, but the crew would get that 7 car patched up and back out onto the track. But obviously, he's going to lose the chance to win this race. Meanwhile, Noah Dalitz establishes himself at the front of the field, followed by Rip Tyler. Xavier Ruiz in the 212 is a lap down, and now Mike Malone goes into the backstretch wall too, after contact between Brandon Cresta and, once again, Daniel Leckleiter. Grant Carsons goes out of the race under this caution. He was one of the slowest cars on track. I don't know if you saw it, but he did influence the crash that put Tony Long on his roof. But right after the restart, the Leckleiter Cresta tag team of death strikes again, with both of them going into the wall. Leckleiter bouncing back up onto the track in front of the field. Nathan Ormond, Christopher Holter, and Donnie Olson are involved. Olson goes for a couple rolls down into turn 3. We're a few laps away from 20 to go, and we're certainly starting to see the courteous driving going out the window. Donnie Olson helped onto his roof by Stefan Wodarczyk, who's going to have his warm-up time cut short today. Delbert Haggins in the 0 was also involved, and he's very slow on the restart. Todd Stater making contact with Dalton Carter, trying to get by him, and that's going to put Patrick Ashcroft into the wall as well, right after the restart. Haggins was having a good debut until all of this happened. He had been staying out of trouble all day. Coming back to that caution, the Power Surge America teammates hook up and get past Noah Dalitz, and now it's a drag race to the yellow between Skeeter Farnsworth and Rip Tyler. Farnsworth is looking for his first Low Dollar Series win, and Rip Tyler is looking for his first win in several years, but it would be Noah Dalitz fighting back on the restart. Rip Tyler gets shuffled up high, and here come Mark and Taylor Matthews once again, preventing him from getting back down to the bottom. Phyllis Theodore in the 74 has come to the front now. She's pushing the 61 of Taylor Matthews. Maro Adachi is back in the fight. Now, he had a terrible pit stop during an earlier caution, fell all the way behind 20th, in fact. So that is what happened to Maro Adachi if you saw him disappear. And now he charges back into second, getting past Theodore in the Suburban Cowgirl car this week. Further back in the field, Carrie Fenton qualified 6th, but has since fallen out of the top 10, and now she goes into the wall after contact with Todd Abadrabo, getting Xavier Ruiz in the 212 caught up as well. Now, Ruiz had fought his way back onto the lead lap and into the top 15, and Carrie Fenton is out of the race. Her new partnership with Lynx has been a big help for her, but she just hasn't had the luck. And her teammate Noah Dalitz blows up under this caution. That's the 3rd time today we've had someone come up to the front only to have mechanical trouble. And this will also eliminate one of the dominant cars of the latter half of this race. Phyllis Theodore inherits the lead. This is a very familiar spot for her, having to hold off the entire field with just under 10 to go. However, at the Carl Superstore, the draft wasn't as much of a factor, and that's really not going to help her here, as Maro Adachi dives to the inside, and he'll take the lead back with just 6 laps to go. Maro Adachi and Phyllis Theodore have never won in the Low Dollar Series, but now they've got to fend off an incoming challenge from Rip Tyler and Mark. Tyler, desperate to get back into victory lane after the terrible start to his season. He's got that car planted on the inside with a lot of help from the 03. And now going into 1, Theodore drives back to the bottom. And she's going to get back by the 98-2. Now Rip Tyler slides up off a 2, opening the door for the 03. Here comes the 13 of Aaron Coltier. He got one of his 2 laps back earlier, but he's still a lap down and racing with these guys in the final laps for some reason. It's not like if the caution comes out now, the race is going to get restarted with him back on the lead lap, and that's really going to hurt the 74 and open up the door for the 98. You saw the 61 of Taylor Matthews diving to the inside, trying to make it 3 wide, but she wasn't able to make it work, and now she comes under attack from Rip Tyler, coming to just 2 laps to go. And if you look behind them, the Hetzel cars of Todd Stater and Sean Griswold are now starting to make some noise. Stater making a 3 wide with the 03 and the 61, but not able to challenge Tyler yet. Rip Tyler is clear to try to chase down the 98. I think I saw a little contact now between the 74 and the 24, but Tyler having a lot of trouble closing in on the 98 now. Mauro Adachi is no stranger to the FARC Low Dollar Series. He's appeared in several races here and there over the years, but this is his first full-time drive, and he's never won a race in the series until now. Mauro Adachi will take his first FARC Low Dollar Series victory, putting the Walker Texas Racing 98 back in victory lane. And that's a huge morale boost to that team after this week's news about Mark Thompson. And this race was also a huge morale boost to Rip Tyler and Power Surge America, even if the pole sitter couldn't quite seal the deal. Todd Stater made a huge move to get to the front late in the race and is rewarded with third place. Taylor Matthews comes home fourth, M. Mark fifth, and Skeeter Farnsworth puts both of the Power Surge cars in the top 10. Phyllis Theodore puts together another great finish for the FSD car. Nicholas Radcliffe comes home with very quiet 8th. Sean Griswold is 9th. And Michaela Perry-Jones was in the top 10 all day, but didn't make much of a charge towards the front, possibly playing defense to protect that points lead. Harry Asanola is 11th after starting all the way down in 36th. Xavier Ruiz recovers after his accident with Kerry Fenton to finish in 12th. And it's Rick Forrest and Vitaly Solikov with a very respectable finish, even though it wasn't quite as big as his 5th place finish last year. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson started in 5th, but slowly fell out of the top 10. I'm sure he's a bit disappointed in that finish. Mike Malone was much faster than his results shows, but of course he had his accident along with Anthony Griffith, who of course was run over by Kelly Splicen. Aaron Coultier was the last car on the lead lap, but he didn't really gain anything from interfering with the fight for the lead. He wasn't racing with anybody for position. Patrick Ashcroft was the first car one lap down. He was 19th, and Brandon Crasta rounds out the top 20. The first part of the race was fairly clean, but we had a lot of wrecked cars in the second half, as only 22 cars finished the race, with Dalton Carter being the last one to finish, despite being involved in 2 accidents. Looking at Kelly Splicen down in 33rd, there is almost certainly a penalty coming for her, unless it comes out that she was told to go around the outside and the rest of the field wasn't told she was coming. And Hunter Blaze's 41st place finish after the first accident is not going to help him in the points. And now looking at the top 10 in the standings, predictably, Michaela Perry-Jones is still on top, but Taylor Matthews takes over 2nd place and shrinks the gap down to 17 points. That 4th place finish really helped her. Mauro Adachi jumps all the way up to 4th with his victory. Harry Asanola holds down 5th with Daniel Sharp 6th. Todd Stater is up to 7th with his 3rd place finish. Patrick Ashcroft is 8th, Mark is 9th, and Grant Carsons tumbles to 10th place after all of his problems today. Next week, the FARC Low Dollar Series returns to the East Coast for a round at the Oswego Speedway in New York, which will be a doubleheader with the FARC Super Series late models. And as always, you'll be able to catch the highlights right here on Fuel Spill TV.